I am 35 years old. I am a full-time housewife. I met my husband, Matthew, 8 years ago. It was at the delicatessen where I was working at the time. He always came during lunchtime and asked me if he wanted to go out with me. We were together for a year, and after a few twists and turns, we got married. 2 years later, our long-awaited child, a daughter, Ava, was born. I quit my job at the delicatessen and devoted myself to raising our child. We even moved to a new house in search of a better environment to raise our child. 4 years or so has passed. Everything was going well, until I had to move in with that troublesome mother-in-law. The reason my mother-in-law asked to live with us was because my father-in-law had passed away due to illness. My mother-in-law told us that she was not comfortable living alone. I remember thinking that the day had finally come. Matthew is the eldest son and only child. It would not be surprising if one day we would have to live with his parents. I was prepared for that. I thought it was too soon, but I had no choice. Matthew and I talked it over and decided to move in together. The problem was that my mother-in-law disliked me a lot. In the first place, she didn't approve of our marriage itself. This is because I do not have a left hand. Ever since I was in a car accident when I was a child, I have had a prosthetic hand from my left wrist onward. My mother-in-law's prejudice against people with prosthetic hands was enormous, and some of it was very hard to hear.
What are you going to do with her? What if she gives birth to a deformed child?
I can't tell you how chilled I was by the vulgarity of my mother-in-law's ideas. My mother-in-law had not a shred of morals. She also used my hand as a story to bully her daughter-in-law in every way she could. She complained about all the housework.
What's wrong with the way you cut the vegetables? You're not doing a good job at all. That's why I don't like robots.
Mother-in-law, the way I cut the vegetables is just like in the recipe. It says here that this dish should be cut in chunks.
Humph! Can't you just follow the directions? Robots are not inflexible after all.
My mother-in-law calls me a robot because I have a prosthetic hand. I am surprised that there are people with such a sense of humor in this day and age. It is the same when I do household chores other than cooking. She looks at every little detail to the point of disgust, and she always has something difficult to say about it.
The way you fold the laundry is messy. It will get wrinkled. It looks like you can't do it well with fake hands.
This is the laundry that Ava helped me fold for the first time earlier. I'll refold it when I show it to Matthew.
Ha! You are good at making excuses. Then you'll have to discipline her at best so that she can fold it better.
I am not someone who is favorite prosthetic arm, so I am hurt in my own way. My mother-in-law seems to be very happy about it. On the other hand, when I can make things a little easier or gain something, my mother-in-law tries to prevent me from doing so.
You don't clean well, as usual. It's funny, isn't it, when there's a cleaning robot in this house?
I'm thinking of buying a real cleaning robot so that it can clean my room while I do other chores.
Don't be silly. Cleaning is something that needs to be done by human hands. And you can't use the dishwasher either.
All my mother-in-law does is interfere. Even though we are living together, she doesn't help with any of the housework. She says that her mother-in-law's job is to teach her daughter-in-law. I don't want to be told off, so I talk to my husband about it every chance I get. I have my mother-in-law scolded, but...
Mom, the way you speak is discriminatory and not good for the child's growth. I have said it again and again. Will you please stop?
How can you blame an old parent? Matthew was not that kind of child. It's all because of that robot woman.
So stop calling her a robot woman.
What's wrong with calling a robot a robot? You don't have to yell at me like that.
She ended up imitating her in tears. She has such a warped personality that my husband and I could not handle her. As my husband said, I was also afraid more than anything that my mother-in-law's presence would have a bad influence on my daughter Ava. Even though we had gone to the trouble of choosing an environment with many people of child-rearing age, which would be good for the child's education, it would be ruined by this in the house. Some of my mother's friends advised me to sue them. One person, Christopher, did so. Christopher's husband is a lawyer. He's in charge of many cases of wife and mother-in-law problems and divorce problems a year.
He gets a lot of cases where people want to sue their mother-in-laws. It seems to be a cause of divorce. There are cases where they can get alimony.
Alimony from the mother-in-law? Can we get it? It was a very bleak story, but I heard that there were some cases. I decided to listen to the story in detail. The important thing when suing is to prepare proper evidence. I heard that it is a good idea to record your daily wife baiting in a notebook.
But don't use a loose leaf notebook to record them. It is a rule to start from the first page of a regular notebook.
Yes, but Christopher, why is that?
With loose leaf notebooks, people may think you wrote it all down later, and it will lose its power as evidence.
I see. That makes sense. She told me to make sure to include the date and time and to correctly write the expressions and complaints that shocked me when they were said. Fortunately, my daughter Ava seemed to understand that I was hurt, and she always protected me.
Grandma, stop being so mean to Mommy. It's not good. It makes even Ava sad.
But my mother-in-law, with her twisted personality, would not hear the child's pleas. It was a matter of getting bent out of shape.
It's not human behavior to blame the elderly for using children. That's exactly what a robot is supposed to do.
I'm not complaining to Grandma because of something Mom said to me. Don't get me wrong.
What a noisy kid. If you say so, you'll say this. You really are just like someone else. You are a copy robot.
I was usually like this, so when my husband left home for a company trip, I was really anxious. Matthew seemed to feel the same way, and he kept reminding us days before he left for the trip.
Are you sure you're okay? If you want, I can stop going. Just tell my boss what's going on, and he'll understand.
It's also important to deepen friendship with the people at work. I'll take care of it, so don't worry about it. And have fun.
That's right, Dad. You go ahead. Don't worry.
After repeated urging from Ava and me, Matthew finally made up his mind to go on the trip. However, he was still really worried. He nails his mother-in-law, who is relieved from his role as a watchdog.
Mom, you know what I mean, don't you? Don't mess with Madison and Ava just because I'm not around.
I know it well. Have you ever made any unnecessary fuss?
I'm serious, okay? If you're going to break your promise, I have a thought about it too.
Don't threaten your parents. You can go ahead. Make sure you buy some souvenirs, okay? This exchange was futile. At this point, my mother-in-law was thinking about how she could bully me in her son's absence. When Matthew left for a company trip, my mother-in-law immediately gave me instructions that she would not normally order me to do.
While Matthew is away, let's do some major cleaning. First, let's start by weeding the garden. Come on, let's get moving.
But, mother-in-law, it's raining lightly right now. It would be better to do the weeding on a sunny weekend with a whole family.
I'm not messing around. Or is it that you don't want to get wet because you're a robot?
Would you really stop calling me a robot? In the end, I was forced to spend hours weeding in the garden in the pouring rain. After that, my mother-in-law left me alone to do the cleaning while she sat on the sofa watching TV dramas. Yet, she was always giving me more than the usual amount of complaint. While Matthew was away, it seemed to me that the bad comments were 30% worse than usual.
How many times do I have to tell you that the seasoning is too strong? You should make it again. Otherwise, I won't eat it.
If you like, my mother-in-law can stand in the kitchen and cook your own meals. That's the quickest way.
That's an escape, isn't it? If you are my daughter-in-law, what are you going to do if you can't at least cook food that your mother-in-law will like?
To tell the truth, I had expected some problems to occur while my husband was away. Sure enough, it was the evening of the second day. My mother-in-law got angry with me for cooking a dish that contained green peppers, which she didn't like, and it turned into a big problem.
I have told you many times before not to put green peppers on my plate.
But mother-in-law, there's no way I can share it with you if it's chopped so finely.
That's right. You're an adult, so I just need to eat green peppers without complaining. Ava will eat it, you know.
The robot mother and daughter are not to be taken too seriously. I get nauseous just looking at your faces.
Mother-in-law, please calm down.
Don't be so calm. You are a useless wife with no arms and no human heart. Now get the hell out of this house.
Don't say terrible things to Mom. You're the one who should leave, Grandma.
What? You little brat. This house is mine and my sins, not yours.
No, mother-in-law. This house is jointly owned by Matthew and me. It doesn't belong to either of us.
You see, You don't know anything about it.
You're a noisy little brat, aren't you? I don't care about that. Wait a minute. I'm going to redeem you.
My mother-in-law tried to grab onto Ava, and I quickly defended my daughter. Then my mother-in-law grabbed my left hand.
This hand. I get sick just looking at it. Let me borrow it for a minute.
Wow, give it back to me, mother-in-law. Mother-in-law. My mother-in-law forcibly removed my prosthetic hand, and then...
Such a disgusting hand. I'll do this to you.
My mother-in-law smashed my prosthetic hand repeatedly on the table and floor, breaking it. I was speechless. It was not a cheap item. It was a prosthetic hand that was made after many consultations with a prosthetist, and it was perfect for me. I was more dismayed and saddened than angry, but Ava seemed different. What are you doing? Ava yelled at my mother-in-law.
What are you doing to my mom's hand? I can't believe you. I'll never forgive you. I hate you, Grandma.
I was horrified, crying. Ava ran outside with my prosthetic hand. Ava, wait, where are you going? Both my mother-in-law and I followed Ava. Neither my mother-in-law nor I could keep up with a 5-year-old girl's run. We were instantly separated by a distance. By the time we rounded the corner of the building, Ava was out of sight. At this point, my anger at my mother-in-law finally began to rise in my heart. If anything happens to Ava, I won't forgive you. But I should attack later. Now I have to find Ava first. I ran to the nearby police station. My mother-in-law was late, and there I found Ava, who I had been looking for. She was holding up my broken prosthetic hand and appealing to the policeman.
Arrest my grandma. My grandma is a bad person. I broke my mommy's hand.
Okay, little girl, calm down. Can you try telling the story from the beginning? Just take your time.
Here you are. Ava, come on, we're leaving early. Don't bother the policeman.
My mother-in-law walked up to her and grabbed Ava's shoulders and arms tightly. Ava was dragged away.
Let go of me. Oh no, let go of me. Somebody help me.
Inside the police station, all hell broke loose. It was a struggle between my mother-in-law, who was trying to drag her out, and Ava, who was resisting. The policeman and I intervened and somehow succeeded in pulling them apart.
Are you all right, little girl? Can you talk to me again from the beginning?
I'm sorry. My grandson has a habit of lying. She always tells lies like this to get people into trouble.
I'm not lying. Grandma broke Mommy's hand.
Ava, that's enough.
Ava is trying her best to protect me. I was strongly moved by my daughter's hard work. The policeman noticed my left hand and spoke to me. Excuse me?
You are the mother of this girl, aren't you? What actually happened?
I didn't want to make a big deal out of things while Matthew was away. I didn't feel that way anymore. Yes, my mother-in-law here broke my precious prosthetic hand. It looks like I also injured it a little, and it hurts.
Hey, Madison, even you are lying like that.
I'm not lying. I have proof. I took my phone out of my pocket and activated the app. It is a so-called security camera app. The recorded video can be saved on the cloud, so I could show the assault by my mother-in-law on the spot. Here it is. This scene. On the table and the floor.
Oh, this is. Grandmother, you shouldn't have done this. Can you come in the back and tell us a story?
What? Madison, when did you get a camera? What?
I didn't feel like answering. Completely ignored. I left my mother-in-law with the officer and took Ava home. Later, my mother-in-law was indeed charged with injury and destruction of property. Needless to say, Matthew, who had heard the story from me and Ava, scolded my mother-in-law severely.
I'm going to ask you to leave this house.
Oh no. Then, where should I live? I've already sold my old house.
I don't know. You can rent an apartment or whatever you want.
I don't have that kind of money. Even my husband's insurance money has already run out after all the fines and stuff.
I don't know. You must have your own fault. I'm punishing you for giving my precious wife and child a hard time.
Matthew mercilessly kicked his mother out of the house. It was the moment when my long struggle with my mother-in-law came to an end. I did not let up in my pursuit after that. I filed a claim for alimony against my mother-in-law. The record notebook and security camera footage that I had started on Christopher's advice helped me a lot. I did not get some thousands of dollars, but I was sure that I had inflicted a considerable blow on my mother-in-law. I am sure. Her new home was an old apartment. It will probably be her final home. It is not funny that she has to share a bathroom and toilet nowadays. It is really pathetic that she could only choose such a place. My poor mother-in-law has been living on the money her husband and son earn, but now she has no choice but to work. No matter how tired she is of crying, we will not give any financial support. Matthew has declared so I have no choice. When she visited the Employment Security Office, my mother-in-law swore a lot at the staff member in charge, and it seems that she was smothered a lot. She finally found a job as a cashier at a supermarket. As expected, her bad character got her into trouble. Her co-workers talked about her behind her back, and she received numerous complaints from customers, so she quit soon after. My mother-in-law then worked mainly light jobs such as building cleaning and flyer delivery, but was fired from all of them. This was because she would complain to her bosses and co-workers, disturbing their harmony, or conversely, being arrogant. My mother-in-law's foul mouth and bad character made the atmosphere of her workplace worse wherever she worked, and drove her further into a corner. This must be the karma that my mother-in-law has already taken on. No matter where she goes, she is doomed to be hated and ostracized. Even now, Ava and I talk about my mother-in-law from time to time. We try to be careful not to become that kind of person. There is no one better as a role model. If only we didn't become like that, our life would be 80% successful. Oh yes, I got reimbursed for the broken prosthetic hand. I am happy to have a prosthetic hand that performs much better than the one I had before. Although my body is handicapped, I will do my best. I will continue to lead a bright and happy life with my husband.